Welcome. Really nice to have you here. I like to start with a little invocation. So, if we could just take a moment of pause and recognize that we come together here. There are many things we could be doing with our time, but we've decided to come together in what I call common unity and community to look at how we can actually deal with the massive changes that are happening all around us and how we can be with that and also be a force for tapping into our own essential goodness and the goodness of the world and really look at how we can make a difference in the world and be more connected and more understanding and more connected, interconnected with the web of life itself. And so we welcome all of you. And I just like to take a moment to have us just ground ourselves by just taking a few breaths together. And just attending to our interior, what's happening in the body. We tend to be focused a lot on the outside, but what's the felt sense of being in your body? Is there spaciousness? Is there tension? Do you feel open or closed? Do you feel a sense of possibility? And just noticing, are there places in my body that are numb? Is there movement, aliveness? And then noticing our emotions, which also show up in the body. What emotions might be present? Fear, anger, joy, compassion, grief, sadness, shame, guilt. And just notice if you can get a sense of what emotions am I feeling right now. And perhaps I don't feel anything, and that's fine. It's all information. We're just kind of tuning into the body and the emotions. And then beginning to notice that, oh, what's the quality of my mind? Is it busy and jumping around? And am I grasping and holding on? Or am I just kind of settled in and allowing what wants to emerge to emerge? And noticing, is my body and my emotions and my mental activity in alignment? Or am I kind of feeling one thing in my body and having a different emotion and having thoughts that are all over the place? And just noticing that. How related do I feel to both my inner world and the outer world? And related to my friends and family, my community, my country, the world? Am I feeling a sense of separation, or am I feeling connected to everything that's happening, or somewhere in between? And we ask the Great Spirit to have the work we do here tonight to make a difference, to really, that when we leave this call, it will impact not only our own life, but the lives of our community, our families, and the people around us, that we will nourish the field of humanity in a positive way. And so we begin our call tonight and just take a couple of deep breaths together and just fully arrive. And I like to see who's here and just feel you, because it's really beautiful to feel your connection here. So, this is an interactive community. So I really want to welcome your comments, your questions, your interactions as we go. People who work with me know I work very interactively with people, and we'll do some work tonight. whatever that looks like, whatever that shows up as. The important thing is to know your voice makes a difference and your presence makes a difference. And so, I really welcome that tonight. And when we look at what is going on in the world, what's happening in the world, we see a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, a lot of people in overwhelm. In fact, I don't remember a time in my 76 years that I've seen so much divisiveness, so much anger, so much feeling of separation and isolation, lack of belonging. So many people are feeling alone in all this, and yet we're not alone. We're all part of the human family, and this is an opportunity to, as the systems and the structures of the world begin to crumble and have been crumbling for some time, what will we replace that with, and what are we focusing on? And it was really heartwarming to see the chats, to see what people were focusing on. Oh, transformation. What possibility can we bring forth? There was a lot of people really wanting to do that and to bring that kind of transformative energy in. And for so many of us too, many on this call, and I think everyone at this call at some time or another has either a feeling of I'm just going to shut down and I'm going to tune out, or I'm just gonna ignore it. I'm turning the news off. I'm not gonna watch it. Not a bad idea, actually. Or the opposite of that is that we're speeding up. We're going faster as we feel what's happening. We're going from one place to another, and we're kind of, there's a frenetic energy that is also out there. And these are all symptoms of trauma. And I want to talk a little bit about trauma tonight. People are feeling dissociated, they're feeling despair, isolation, overwhelm, loneliness, a sense of where do I belong? How do I fit? What are they going to do to fix this? And yet there's at the heart of this longing for safety and for connection and to be seen and felt and heard in our lives. And those that issue, to feel safe and connected and to be seen, heard, and felt, those are really the skills that we often didn't get in our early adaptive phases of life. And it's not a fault of our parents or anyone, because if you look, we're the end result at this point of thousands, tens of thousands of years of evolution behind us. And these patterns have been building. Of course, also, besides these patterns building, we've also been creating, through our ancestors, we have life wants to live through us, and life wants to evolve. And there's a great resilience. Our ancestors have all been through plagues, have been through famines, have been through wars and genocide and burning at the stake. And oh my God, you look through history and it's just, and maybe this is actually the turning point when we wake up to the absolute interdependency and co-creative capacity of the human family. And that's really, what we want to look at tonight. And that adaptive phase is getting triggered a lot. So just a little bit about trauma. So those of you who have tuned into me know I talk a lot about trauma, and I work a lot with people in the area of trauma. And there's the big T trauma, the trauma where there was a violent expression of somehow you were raped or beaten, or an accident, or there's that big T trauma in war. I work with people that have been in war, or that we come from a lineage of warriors. That's part of my lineage. I come from a world of trauma, which is, of course, why I do the work that I do. And so, but then there's the little t trauma, the trauma that actually we don't even think of it as trauma. We think of it as normal. We have normalized all the parts of ourselves that have been suppressed from the early developmental phases where we weren't safe at times, that we weren't held, we weren't seen, we weren't heard, we weren't nourished in the way that, you know, all mammals need to be held and felt and sensed and fed and cared for and carried. And you know, we were born into a world that was very busy. Parents were busy, lots of alcoholism, lots of, you know, issues from our past. And so we had to adapt to those. And I want to say something that I really want you to hear. There is nothing at all that is broken in any of us, in you, in me, or any of us. In fact, there is an amazing intelligence called our nervous system. And our nervous system has been our friend from the birth of original goodness that we were born into. And I believe all of us, you know, if you look at a baby, I don't know how you can think that baby is going to turn out bad. You know, that we're born with original goodness, not original sin. Um, and and so, well, what happens then when that happens? So let's say that you know, we have an event that we're a young baby or something, and we're crawling, and something happens that scares us, and we come back and we say, I'm scared, and Daddy says, don't be scared, there's nothing to be scared about. Now that you know, probably everyone here had some time when something like that was said to them, or much worse, you know, don't be a sissy, or something like that, or grow up. You know, you're telling a 1-year-old or a 2-year-old to grow up, you know. No, you need to be a 1-year-old or a 2-year-old when you're that age, right? But that little, you know, thing is actually a trauma event. And the nervous system, well, we say, well, wait a minute, something's wrong here because I'm scared, but my daddy says I'm not supposed to be scared, but I am scared. So something must be wrong. And I would never make my caregiver wrong because my survival is dependent on it. So who do I make wrong? I find the fault in me. I say something's wrong with me. So I need to be quiet, or all the adaptive ways our nervous system is brilliant. You know, it says, this is too much for this little child. What we're going to do is dissociate. We're going to push that feeling down, that fear, that hurt. We're going to push it down so you can be protected and actually develop. The problem is it's still protecting us, and we're 40 or 50 or 60 years old, and we haven't been able to integrate the part because we don't live in a culture that actually knows how to, it's getting that way, but doesn't know how to integrate this kind of trauma. But it's a good thing that it happened, or you probably wouldn't have survived. You would have died of fright or overwhelm, or something would have happened. So all of these things that happened to us, that were these early adaptive phases that we went through in our very early childhood, which is the bulk of the trauma that we live in. We're not even aware of them because it's become normal. We adapt and we come, oh, I'm now a pleaser. I'm going to help out. I'm going to be a helper. How many helpers are there? Many helpers here? If you're a helper, yeah, there's helpers. Then there's the, I'm going to look pretty. That's another one. Or I'm going to be really smart, and then they'll love me. If I, you know, because we think it's the absence of love, but it's really the absence of presence. But we're trying to get that love that we need, that honoring that we need to be held, to feel safe. So this starts really, really early. And our ability to deal with you saw the flyer, I think, that I sent out. I love that flyer with the surfer and the wave that's just about to come over and take him away. And isn't that how it feels sometimes? Like there's this huge wave that's just going to sweep me away. So this, but what we need to know is that this is a really good thing, and that we've made all these adaptations. And all we need to do is to allow ourselves to bring awareness to the pain and the fear and the overwhelm. I say all, it's not that easy, but we'll talk about, how we can do that. But all of those things, there's nothing to fix because there's nothing broken. The thing that will allow us to integrate the fragmented parts of ourselves. So every time one of those incidents happens, we push a part of our essence down. They call it dissociation in psychology, soul loss in shamanism. There's many names for it, but it's basically frozen past. So trauma is frozen past that hasn't been felt, that hasn't been integrated. And so it shows up as tension. It shows up as separation. It shows up as either moving really fast and doing a whole bunch of things, or just kind of moving really slow and going numb. So in the courses, we talk a lot about the polyvagal theory and the nerve and how that all sets. We're not going to talk about any science tonight. Don't worry. I promise you. We're just going to talk about the thing that's really, really important. And that is, how can I rehabilitate my ability to feel the parts that were suppressed that cause me pain? Because it causes pain to be saving myself from pain. You know what I'm saying? So with these suppressed feelings that we have that we're pushing down, it's painful and it numbs us and it lessens our capacity. It narrows the circumference of our beingness, our narrative, our who we are in the world. It makes us smaller. We do a lot of work with stress, okay? And people say, some of you have heard me say this, but it's important. We say, oh my God, I I have to tell you, coming to this call, I was stressed because both my computers broke down this afternoon. Both of them went out, and I could not use Zoom, couldn't use anything. And I called my tech who was on the other side of town, and he couldn't get here till like 4:15. That's 45 minutes before we were supposed to start, and brought a new computer and completely set it up. It would take me 3 days to do what he did in a half an hour. And I was stressed. I was coming on a call that 450 people have signed up for this call to be on the call. We usually have about 10%, and then a lot of people receive the call to listen later, but I really appreciate that you come on. So I was feeling stressed. Now, but what is stress? When you say, I'm so stressed, what does that actually mean? It's kind of a non-word. It's like saying, I'm sick. Oh, you're sick. Do you have COVID? Stage 4 cancer? A cold? Leprosy? What's going on? So sick is one of those words like stress that doesn't say anything. But if I look underneath the word, what I see is that stress, when I'm saying I'm stressed, I'm saying something is too much for my current capacity to meet at this time. Something is too much for my current capacity to meet at this time. So what is stress? It's an issue of capacity. What happened when I got stressed? I got tense and I got not a lot of space in there with like watching the clock. Okay, 15, 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Okay, it's up. I sat with Dana for 3 minutes and went, okay, I need to down regulate, which is what we need to do with these kinds of things. I needed to breathe and stop and down regulate, to be here. So we all get stressed. but it's a capacity issue. And so when we have fragmented parts of ourselves, all those places where we felt bad or wrong or not loved or not felt or not seen, those were all places that we pushed down the hurt. You know, we felt the hurt, but we pushed it down. And so when we're looking to, okay, how am I going to surf the waves here? You know, I call this, what did I call this class? Riding the waves of challenge, how to move through life with grace and ease. You're not always going to move through life with grace and ease. I wasn't, you know, a half an hour ago moving with grace and ease, but I have the capacity to downregulate myself and say, okay, yeah, I can just allow that to settle and just breathe. And I'll show you some things that we can do as we get into this to really to be able to nourish ourselves. So, and here's the thing that's really important. You can't self-regulate until you can co-regulate. What does that mean? That means that when I learned to self-regulate from the care I got from my caregivers, from my parents or whoever were the caregivers were. If I didn't learn to regulate my own emotions and feelings and anxiety and the things that come up, if I didn't have the presence and the safety to do that, then I need to have someone that can be with me. And I'm making a plug here for connection, for community. And so many of us have isolated ourselves in our fear, in our anxiety, in our loneliness, and our feeling that we don't belong. And so that's what this work is about. That's what the 48 people who showed up here, you're a community here. You're in common unity. Now you don't know each other, but we run a lot of groups at the Well of Light. That's what we do, so that we can heal in community and help each other learn how to self-regulate, because that's ultimately what we want. But with all the changes that are happening and the destruction of the structures and systems that have been in place, the economic system, the social system, the health system, the care system, all of the system, education system, they're all crumbling right now. And it's really probably a really good thing that they're crumbling, because we're not going to fix, was it Bucky Fuller said, we're not going to fix, or no, Einstein, I guess, said, we're not going to fix the problems of today with the solutions that created the problems. And that's what we keep doing. We keep doing the same things over and over, expecting different results, which is the definition of insanity, of course. So, so I just want to be clear that the work that we do here is, there is nothing at all that needs to be fixed about you. There is nothing broken. There is nothing, you know, when you have something, they say, oh, I'm dysfunctional in some area. No, you're not dysfunctional. You have a function that you haven't figured out yet. Something is serving a function to have you experiencing what you're experiencing. And, you know, how do we get underneath that and say, oh, you know, that's protecting me. That's a really old wound. That's why I have problems in relationship. That's why I have problems with money. That's why I have issues with groups. That, you know, and we look at those areas where we feel less than whole. And underneath, you can always find that there's something there that is protecting you and has always been protecting you. So there's no need for fixing. This work is not about doing anything. This work is about presencing something that's maybe not felt so good in the past, that when we bring awareness, because awareness is the healer, it dissolves the despair, the loneliness, the self-doubt, the disconnection, the fear. And one of the processes that we teach in our workshops and in the individual and collective work that we do at the Well of Light is a very simple model that I just wanted to share with you. It takes practice, and we could do something with someone who wanted to work with a particular issue there. It's the essence of my reparenting work that I've created and do with people. But it's a very simple thing. The first thing is to pause. Actually, that's the preamble of the 3 steps, is to actually just pause and take 3 deep breaths and just allow yourself to center yourself. We teach a lot of meditation courses and workshops and retreats and things like that also, but this very simple, just pausing. You don't need to have to go to the cushion every time. That's what I had to do in the 3 minutes that I had before this started to try to find, a center, because I was like, was off center. So once we do that, then the process is a 3-step process. It's presencing. What is presencing? Presencing is that I actually zoom in. I take perception and presence and I zoom into my interiority, to my inner body. Mostly we're focused on the outer world. How can I change the outer world? How can I make the conditions right? How can I fix this or fix that? But where we want to go is in. And then we feel the interior and we go, whoa, there's places where I'm carrying a lot of tension. Can you feel that in your body now? The places that you're feeling, you're carrying tension, so many of us. So we zoom in and we really look and see, how am I feeling in my body? Just like we did at the grounding at the beginning, what's happening? Can I feel movement in my body? Because we are movement. You and I are movement. We're movement meeting movement. And this is important for connecting. But first we start, there's some numbness. There's some tension. And numbness is not nothing. Numbness is information that shows that there's something that's being suppressed. So again, it's all good. It's just sometimes painful to deal with it. So we're presencing that, and we work to learn a presence as a verb. It's never, just something about change that I think is important to say. There's a thing called the Gestalt theory of change, which I've used for 40 years in working in organizations and different NGOs and governments and things. And that says that, excuse me, change doesn't happen by being what we're not. Change does not occur by being what we're not. Change happens by being exactly what we are in this moment. And in that, the conditions for change become apparent. And even more so, from Otto Scharmer's work, the emergent future and the creativity and the innovation that life wants to live through us and express through us comes through. So we presence ourselves so that we can make ourselves available for nature, for life to actually move through us and bring the aliveness that is our birthright, that is part of our belonging. Come bring that through. And so that's the first step. And it's a step that's always going on. It's always, how is it now? Many of us can't feel our emotions. That was my story for many years. Emotions, I could feel your emotions, or see them, but I couldn't feel my emotions. They were just stuck from lots of trauma. So I had to go around presencing. I went, what am I feeling right now? I'd stop and I'd look and I go, and then I wouldn't feel anything. And then pretty soon I went, oh, this kind of feels like fear, and where is it in my body? And so I begin to bring awareness through presencing, through bringing myself inward into the interiority. And when I do that, and meditation, contemplation, and prayer are three of the tools that we work with in that area. When I do that, there's a funny thing that happens. And those of you who are meditators will know exactly what I'm talking about. There's this place where I'm watching my mind and I'm watching my body and I'm feeling my emotions. And I go, wait a minute. Am I one or two? Who's watching my mind? Who's watching my body? Who's watching my emotions? Oh, that's curious. That's when we move into the second stage of witnessing. We become a witness, and awareness is witnessing. And again, awareness is the healing. That is what causes and gives us the healing and gives us the power of being able to be with those things that we want to push away. And by the way, those things that are causing pain and that we want to push away, that's causing a lot of pain, keeping them pushed down. And it's taking a lot of energy because you have, the trauma, the event, whatever happens, and it's too much. And the nervous system says, too much, push it down. That takes a lot of energy. That's like holding beach balls underwater. I got one beach ball with my arm, another with my leg, one with my other arm, my other leg. Pretty soon I'm pushing one down. I'm trying to hold all these beach balls down. That's a lot of energy that we're using. So when we bring awareness, when we go through presencing and then witnessing, these things begin to come up. And this is why people have such a hard time with meditation. For those of you who have tried to meditate 100, anybody here tried to meditate 100 times and just, never seemed to stick with it? Yeah. I did that. I went through that for years. I started meditating in my 20s and here I am in my 70s and I kind of got it down, for a few years, a decade or so. But what happens when you meditate is, remember I talked about creating space? When you meditate and you get still and you presence and you witness, all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's more capacity here. And all those little childhood wounds and things, it's like ollie ollie income free. Woo, they start coming up. And you go, oh my God, this is not nice. I got wild stallions in my head and beetles under my skin and ants in my pants. And it's like really uncomfortable. That's when you need to stay and bring awareness, because those parts that have been being pushed down, those beach balls, are popping up to the surface because the natural thing to do is to be with them and bring awareness to them so they're no longer an issue. So the third step of the three-step process that we teach is then embracing. And that's also at the heart of the emotional reparenting work that we do, is that we go in and we find that place and we go, oh yeah, that was the time that when my parents got a divorce, it was so hard. And, I felt like it was my fault and I tried to keep them together. And I really felt like it was, and we see that. And then we go, okay, I'm going to take little Mary, little Joseph, and I'm going to put him on my lap. And I'm going to hold him or her next to my heart. And I'm going to say, sweetheart, I love you so much. And I want you to know we made it. We actually made it. And we don't have to hold on to this anymore. And I'm here for you and I love you. And I'll always be here for you. And that's how we reparent ourselves in the stage of embracing. So we witness, we presence, we witness, and we embrace those parts that we thought were broken, which were actually our childhood friends, and we welcome them back. We say, thank you. Some of you may know the Guest House, the poem by Rumi, invite them all in, come on in. Hatred, worry, all this stuff, doubt, anger, fear, bring it in. Yeah, That's what we do. And we do it in a safe way. And there's a thing called titration. You don't do it all at once. People always seem to want, not all people, but often people want and are often trying to be somewhere where they're not. That this isn't actually my real life. My real life is going to be as soon as I get my PhD, or this is not my life. My real life is going to be when I get the right husband or wife or partner, or when I get the house, or when I get the job. But you see, it never is. You'll never get there. So precision is love. Being precise about what's going on in this moment allows me to be with and open to those things that I've been pushing down, that now I have created, or I have co-regulated with someone, or I've been part of a community doing healing work, that now it feels safe enough for me to feel those horrible, icky feelings that I didn't want to feel as a child. Is that making sense? Am I making sense? Yeah. Yeah. So I've said a lot of things, and let's just any questions, anything that you want to share, anything you want to ask, or anybody could even jump in and do some work. We have 45 minutes left, so I can talk for hours, as you probably can imagine, but being talked to death is a horrible death. I'd rather have us see life moving through us. So you can just raise your hand by going down to reactions and clicking on that button. And then anybody who has a question or a comment or a yeah, but what about this? Again, I love interacting with you. I promise I won't bite. So anybody want to raise their hand? Be brave. Yeah, please. Anne. Hi, Anne.
Hi.
Let
Thank
me
you for
get you on
doing
the
this.
bigger. I like to see you on the bigger screen so I can actually see you.
I was wondering if you could address gaslighting. And I was gaslighted a lot as a kid, and I find the gaslighting that's going on now in media, or from power people in our society, is really distressing me. So could you address that,
I
please?
can, and this new computer here, I'm trying to figure out how to turn the sound up. And
Do you need me to repeat that?
I hope you can hear me better than I
I
can
hear
hear
I
you.
hear you well. Do you need me to repeat what I said?
Yes, you want to know about gaslighting?
Yes, and the way it's going on today in our society, I'm finding is very re-triggering for some of the gaslighting I experienced as a kid.
Okay,
So I was
well,
wondering if you could
can
address
you give
that
me
as
an
a
actually
phenomenon.
example of your experience with it so I can
Sure.
actually address your experience? I prefer that than
Okay.
having a general statement about it.
Okay. I was the youngest child and very perceptive, and things would go on in the family, and I would ask, for example, my sister was in a serious car accident, and I knew something dreadful had happened, but my parents didn't want to upset me, so they said, "Oh no, she's fine. We're just going to San Diego for a visit, etc." And I knew that wasn't true.
Yeah,
So when that happened quite a bit, where I would perceive, even if it was something subtle, I could perceive something was upsetting my mother, and she'd say, "Oh no, I'm fine," that kind of thing. And so
yeah,
now when I see that happening in our society, it really triggers me.
yeah. That's a great example. And I have, you know, people told me I was at my mother's suicide when I was 2, but everyone said, "Oh no, she just sick, got sick and
Mhm,
disappeared." So I know exactly what you're saying. So the thing to do is that with that, and you can use that for an opportunity to awaken compassion towards yourself and towards your parents, because it's very likely that your parents, that their grandparents, that your grandparents and great grandparents and
mhm,
before that, you
yeah,
know had a way in their family of saying, don't say things that could cause an upset. That comes out of a trauma. So somewhere in the lineage, there was a trauma, and people said, don't say bad things because bad things will happen if you do. And so when you're dealing with that kind of what you're referring to as gaslighting, and it's in the news and everywhere else, is to really open yourself to it, because you knew, something in you knew at that time that, and if I'm in my body, I know truth. And that's a big thing that we work with in our work, is what is the authentic truth, you know, the true move, you know, how do I move with truth in this when I know there's lying and there's deceit and there's a lot of that going on. But I can use that to heal the part in me where my sister was in an accident and hurt, and they tried to protect me, and I felt lied to and not I don't know the story you made up, but it invalidates me as a human being when I'm lied to, and that I know that's so. And so the whole area of compassion, self-compassion for yourself, but also for, and when I say compassion for the perpetrators of anything, I in no way am condoning the perpetration. But if we hold on to the resentments, it's like, oh, I'm going to drink this poison and hope you die. Right? That doesn't work so well. Or I'm going to throw these hot coals at you. I'm going to get burnt. I may hit you, but I'm going to get burnt for sure. So one of the things that we don't know how to do very well is to think in terms of a system. And we are in a massive system, the Earth system. So there's, my body, and there's the Earth body, and then there's the social body. And all of them have been perpetrated on, in some way, and not even intentionally much of the time. Like, people don't decide, oh, I'm going to go out and destroy the planet. Maybe a few people do, but for the most part. But we don't think of the whole system. We don't think of the choices. We make something like 60,000 choices a day. And 80% of them are automatic. In other words, they just come from the reptilian brain. And 80% of them are negative. 95% of them come from the reptilian brain. So for the most part, we're on autopilot. And when we can recognize that, we can develop compassion. And there's different levels of compassion. We just did a class on that this morning in our advanced group. And coming from, oh, I feel bad that you're hurting, or feel bad that, this happened to you, to going up the scale of empathy and to the place where I can see me in you, where I can connect with you. So, and that is at the essence of the healing opportunity for me. Because when I can open myself up and feel me and feel how you feel me, then I have greater sense of myself. I have compassion for myself. And I know myself in relationship. There's the vertical, there's our relationship to source, to our spine, to the earth, to our spirit, to our soul. And then there's the horizontal relationship with all of humanity. And in that relationship, we have become very disconnected. And the more that we can experience, like, you're over here where were you from, Anne? I forgot. Can't hear you.
From California.
You're in California.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're in California and I'm in British Columbia. And it's not too far, but it seems like you're way down there and I'm way up here. And that is one way that we look at time space as a linear progression. However, you actually, when I'm with you and present, are in my nervous system. And I'm showing up in your nervous system because I can see that you're listening and hearing me. And so I'm not that far away from you. In fact, I'm in you. And this is the missing link for the healing of humanity, is to recognize our deep interconnection and interbeing with each other. And so I cultivate that. And when something happens, you know, like the issues you're talking about and the whatever we want to call it, but when those issues come up, anytime anytime I say something is like, something was hard, something was difficult, something isn't working, something is broken. That's a portal, that's a doorway. We tend to make it about something out there, but that's a doorway to our own healing. And then we have to confront our own pain and say, ooh, that really hurt when they lied to me and I trusted them. I lost my faith in myself and I lost my faith in other people, right? That's what happens. And so the healing of that, Anne, is to actually allow yourself to feel compassion for that, to feel the feelings of resentment, to feel the feelings of betrayal. That's a betrayal. To feel those feelings in you, and at the same time recognize that that's how they learned and how their parents and their parents before. And we have this long line of people behind us that are doing that. So that allows us to actually recognize that life wants to live through us through interconnection and interdependency. And when we isolate ourselves and we make ourselves separate from the world and we move away from that, we lose ourself, because you can't know yourself if you're not in relationship. Yes, you can know your ego self. Yes, I'm this, and I'm a lawyer, and I'm a professor or whatever, and yeah, and all that story is the ball of snot around us that creates our identity. So we want to move through that and feel, oh, I just realized I'm a doctor because I wasn't seen as a child, and I knew I'd get lots of appreciation and love if I was a doctor. And yet I still feel miserable, like a complete failure. And I work 25 hours a day and I get all this acknowledgement, but it's hollow. It's because I'm not open. I don't have the capacity. I'm still trying to get my mother's love. And it's time to get out of that. And the way to get out of it is to connect in common unity and community, and to work with people and create communities of people who actually are willing to do the inner work. Because that's what it takes. And it's not going to take everybody to transform this planet. And people are waking up all over. We listen to the news and we think, hell in a handbasket, we're doomed. And it becomes resignation, and then it becomes solid, and we wonder why we're lonely and we feel like we don't belong. Yeah. So it's really, the journey is the journey from the heart, from the head to the heart and the gut. And those two intelligence are actually way more powerful than this intelligence. So I hope that was helpful, Anne. Yeah, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's good. And who's here? Jan. Hi, Jan. Is it Jan? It's Jan, right? Yeah. Can you unmute? There you go. No, I still can't hear you. Down at the left-hand corner. I don't know if you're on a computer.
There, I got it.
There you go. Yeah. Hi, Jan.
I'm close to you in Washington State.
Say it again.
I'm close to you in Washington State.
Oh, yeah. You're even closer to me in the screen. Yeah.
But I
What's
wanna
alive
make-
in you?
Uh-huh.
What's alive in you right now?
Alive?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I'm healthy.
Good.
So, but I wanted to make a comment because I found that my past life, I was raped and murdered, which bled into this life in that I had a problem with relationships with males. And once I figured that out, and once I found that out rather, I was able to heal myself enough that I have more of a comfortable with relating to males.
Okay.
So it's just that comment.
Yeah. Yeah. Good for you. Yeah. It's however you get to that place of healing that area, it's loving the feeling of separation and the story and letting go of the story and just feeling that you are connected. You are
Yeah.
connected to all the males. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Lovely to have you with us. And is there anyone else here? Let's see, what time is it? I want to do a meditation. We've got plenty of time. So anyone want to ask any questions, make any comments? I have to get to the other page here too. Hi, Jill, welcome. Good to see you. Okay. So let's see, what do we want to do here? I want to do a meditation, but I think we should look a little more. No, let's do a meditation and see. But I really like to, after the meditation or a journey or whatever wants to come through me, and by the way, I rarely have actually an agenda for these meetings. I kind of have thoughts about where I'd like to go, but that would be something that I planned before I was here, and I'm actually more interested in being here than having a plan. But if you have questions, please raise the questions, because I may miss something or forget something, because I'm just, it's all jazz on this end. Okay. So I'll play my instrument, but if you want a particular song, you're going to have to put a nickel in the machine and say, yeah, I want to hear that tune. Okay. So don't hesitate to comment or ask questions or participate in whatever way works for you. So let's just do a little meditation or journey, or see what happens here. So allowing ourselves to feel our feet on the floor. And just notice your weight. Notice your weight. The shoulders, the torso, the head. All has weight. And bring your attention to your breath. And just notice how it feels right now to be in your body compared to, let's say, when an hour ago when we started this call. You can remember in the first little meditation we did. Do I feel more open, more spacious? Did the things that Michael said resonate with me? And do I have any emotions coming up that I'd like to work with? And what's the quality of my thinking mind? How safe do I feel in this community here? How open? And then I want you to imagine yourself in a beautiful place in nature. Maybe somewhere you've been before, or someone you just imagine, someplace you just imagine. And just begin to notice the surroundings. Is it day or is it night? Is there sun or rain or snow or stars or moon? And notice there's a path. And I want you to feel the kind of draw on that path. Just begin to slowly see yourself walking down that path. And I want you to ask a question to life itself. And as you walk, you may be greeted by an animal, or you may be greeted by a spirit. You're just walking through nature, and you have a question. What is it that's essential in my life? I want you to just walk with that question. Allow the question to permeate you. It's not about your job or your situation. What's actually essential to you in this life you've been given? And perhaps you meet an animal of some sort. And you can ask the animal, can you help me to discover what's essential in my life? Perhaps you'd want to say, what choices am I not making that would support me in discovering what's essential? What really matters in my life? And maybe you meet a spirit guide, or maybe you hear a voice. And just allow yourself to be on a walk. Notice the plants and the trees. Maybe they have a communication for you. The earth and the sky, the sun, the moon. Everything is speaking to you. Can you be quiet enough to listen? As life wants to live through you. It does live through you. But it wants to be heard. What is it that matters? That if I were lying on my deathbed, I would say, yes, that was good. That was true. I my soul would say yes. You fulfilled your purpose here. You operated out of the natural blueprint of your own evolution. You belong. I'm just going to take a minute in the stillness and allow whatever arises as we're on our little walk together through nature, recognizing our connection to life itself. Listen with your whole body, not your head. And in a minute, I'm going to invite you to do something maybe a little scary. I'm going to invite you to take a few breaths. That's not so scary. And if your camera's not on, I'm going to invite you to turn on the camera and just practice being with the people on the call. Just allow yourself to be seen. So when you're ready, just let your eyes open. And notice each person, allowing yourself to just be. Feel this gathering, each individual, and then the social fabric of being together. And notice when you're with one person and just see if you can feel them feeling you, seeing you, or seeing someone. And then see, oh, it's different with this person. But we're all connected in this particular configuration. Notice if any fears come up. Whatever emotions come up, just notice. Allow yourself to be with them. So it's in this kind of a connection of just being aware of whatever arises that real healing takes place. Just knowing that you're not broken. There's nothing that needs to be fixed. You're whole and complete. And there's few places where there's barriers to experiencing that. There's nothing broken. And just feel your heart opening. When we allow ourselves to be seen, that's how we know who we are. Stay in our body. You notice how often You meet somebody, and if you pay attention, you either leave your body or you're not fully with them. We all do that. Prepare our rebuttal. We think, do I agree? Do I disagree? Or we get a memory triggered that we grasp onto. Oh yeah, that reminds me of my Aunt Mabel when, she, lit the firecracker and blew up the dining room table. Or, oh, what? Who was I looking at being with? Oh yeah, it's a real live human being that loves, that longs, that wants to be seen, that wants to be felt, that wants to be heard. That's all of us. So let's take a deep breath. And thank you for coming on. And I'd like to see if anyone would like to share a little bit about what came up in the meditation, in the journey, or any kind of questions about anything we've talked about. We have a course coming up that you're all invited to called Surfing the Waves of Trauma, which is a community coaching and healing circle. And it starts on February 2nd. You're all invited to participate in that. It's on Wednesdays at 5 o'clock Pacific time, same day as today. And we'll be deepening all of these distinctions and working together and really creating a healing community. A number of our communities are 6 months long. And it's really beautiful. The one advanced group has been together for 3 6-month periods. Can't get rid of them. Right, Marius? And it's lovely, the depth of connection and support and recognition and contribution that comes from that. Because we live in this ocean of personal, individual, familial, and ancestral trauma. And it's an epidemic that keeps us separate. That's the first sign of trauma, is separation. Others are scarcity, are moving really fast, and many, many different kinds, and we talk about that. So this particular course is really a 7-week healing opportunity for people who are interested. And I'd love to have you there. I like the idea of surfing, and I love the picture that I chose on that, because it really is, can we take these waves and really ride them instead of letting them crash over and debilitate us, but actually follow them, follow the natural course of the waves that are coming to us. And, as the institutions are failing, things are going to get, we really need community together. And that to me is the most important thing, is creating healing communities. And many of the people, and particularly in the advanced programs, are looking at, well, how can I take this work out into the community and connect people from all walks of life, to dissolve this thing of separation. As I said, the levels of compassion. Can we really be at the level of compassion where looking at you is just like looking at me, that there is no separation? And everything that comes up that we hold separate are the parts that need to be healed. And many of those things are thousands of years of healing that we have to do. We have slavery and racism and genocide and war and all manner of horrible things that have happened through our ancestors. And it's not something to fix, it's something to actually open to and feel. For me, the greatest experiment of the 20th century was the Truth and Reconciliation program that Desmond Tutu and Mandela did in South Africa. That's amazing. And we need that just on the individual level, our own truth and reconciliation. Because the real truth is that we are magnificent, brilliant, amazing, creative beings with capacities that are mostly untouched, that are amazing. And I want each of you to wake up in the morning amazed at your own unfolding into the day. And maybe to look at your partner with not knowing eyes and saying, who is this person that I'm with? What amazing things could happen today? I don't know who you are, but I'm going to spend the rest of my life finding out. What if we did that with our family and our friends? I don't know who you are, because you're always changing. I don't know who you are, but I'm going to spend the rest of my days trying to find out. What if we did that? So we're getting towards the end, and we have a hand up here, Patricia. Hi. I have to really lean over to here because the one thing that the tech we never tested was the sound. So I'm trying to figure out how to really hear. So excuse me if I have to ask you again, but what was coming up for you? You're muted. I think you're muted. Yeah. Yeah, you are.
Yeah, question.
Yeah, there you are.
Yeah, a question that was arising, and I could say you've answered in what I was just listening to there, but I believe, and if am I correct, or if am I correct, perhaps what is right or wrong, but our life is a personal healing journey, a forever life. That is, I'm seeing that that's what this healing, it never finishes, it continues.
It's true. It's true.
Oh, okay.
And the only thing that gets in the way of the force of life to heal, life heals. Look, if I get a cut on my finger, right, it will heal naturally. Now, if I go, oh, that's a nasty cut, I need to fix that. That's got a scab on it. I should take that off so it gets some air. Oh, it's kind of an ugly healing. Maybe I should cut that part of my finger off. You know, our whole emotional, physical, and mental capacity is wanting. Life wants to live through us. Life wants to heal through us. We just have to connect with life. And we've separated ourselves. You know, we call nature resources, trees and oil and all this. We're just so separate. But there's so much life. If I see a tree that's in a rock, growing all gnarled, and I go and I say, oh, that's such an ugly tree. I don't like that tree. It's different than me. And I want tall, straight trees that go up to the sun. This is what we do when we see somebody sitting on East Hastings Street here that's, you know, has a heroin addiction, or people who are we go, oh, that's not, I don't want to see that. I want to push that away. But think of what that tree had to go through the rock and actually grow And that's life wanting to live. And that's how we are. Some of us have a lot of rocks that we had to grow through. You know, who knows why some people just, get all kinds of things and some people get nothing, and, but that's our path. Life wants to live through us regardless of the circumstances. Yeah. Thank you for that question. It's beautiful. Anything else about that, Patricia?
No, I love what you said, how you answered that for me, because it makes me, and coming back to that gnarled tree, I mean, just to love whoever we are. That's okay. It's all right. And to be that, to find that, that's, I suppose that's where I'm at in my thinking, is finding who am I, of course, but to, in that process of being, becoming, and then that sense of belonging too.
Yeah. And I want to say something that's really important. You are not going to find you in here.
No,
You're
okay.
not going to find you
good.
in your story. You're going to find you in you and you and you and you and you and you. In our connection is where we find our true self.
Okay. Wow.
So when we're disconnected from our true self. Our true self can't grow, can't come through, because we grow in relationship. That's why it's so important. When I see you and you see me, we've defined ourselves for each other. And I go, oh, in the way that Patricia sees me, I can now see myself better. I've opened to that. I've learned from that.
Okay.
And then there's some people that just can't see you. But that's not your issue. You find people who can co-regulate with you, people who can nourish you, people who, they feel me, they see me, they hear me. And I come alive in that. And you come alive in the space of connecting with me, and I come alive connecting with you. And people are at all different levels of development in that. But life is symbiotic. Everything works together. Everything cooperates in nature. Only humans have screwed it up. And even that's part of the evolutionary process.
Yeah.
Because that's going to cause the next incarnation of what it is to be human. And now it's become very perilous because we have to do that. There's no longer an option. If we're going to survive as a species, we need to connect with each other. We need to create communities of people who honor each other. And that's how the healing takes place. Again, the first thing is co-regulation. Before we have individual regulation, we have co-regulation. That's the way it is. That's the way evolution works. It's Ubuntu, it's the, I see you and me and you. Thanks, Patricia. Anything else? You good?
I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for your contribution.
Michael, that was wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah. Hey, Destiny. How are you, darling?
Hi, Michael.
Hi.
Oh, I'm
How
just
are you?
grateful to be here. I was late getting here and I couldn't hear you, but I just kind of hung on to reading your lips.
But you can hear me now, right?
I can hear you a little better now.
Okay.
Actually, I was about ready to cry because I feel like I've been waiting all day for this call, and today was been.
Well, you'll get a recording of it.
I'm on the right path of my healing, and I don't know what it is, and maybe I shouldn't even say this, but why does it feel like when you know that you're on the right path and you are right there, like this close, it's like shit just tries to knock you down so hard.
No,
I just feel
no,
like
the shit is
today,
trying to inform you, Destiny.
I'm sorry.
It's trying to inform you. The shit is trying to inform you. It's trying to tell you this is what's next for you to love. The painful, icky, unwanted parts that come up are what's there for you to love. And that's what makes it hard. Because healing wants to happen, darling. And you know, you're a healing warrior. I know you. I know what you're capable of. And I know the gift you are to the world. And you need to be able to see that gift and to your people. Don't buy into your own story. I'm not going to let you, dear.
No, and today I said to myself, I said, you know what? I said, I'm ready to throw all these stories out the door because I'm so tired of this same old stuff that I just don't even want it anymore. Like I don't even want it anymore. You get so tired of the same old, it's like a loop. And
Well,
I'm
it's good
tired
that
of
you're
that
getting
loop.
tired of it, but the only way through is through. There's no bypass. You have to go through those feelings, through those emotions, and bring awareness and love to them. There's nothing to get rid of. There's only things that you need to love. And that's who you are, is love, underneath it all. And I think you know that.
Ah, I do know that. So why does it seem so hard? It's about like forgiveness, right? So it's about forgiving the parts for.
No, you got to give up the doing part, love. You got to give up the do. There's nothing to do. There's just bringing more awareness to it and allowing yourself to feel the pain. You're carrying a lot of pain. And you titrate it. You do one bit of it at a moment. You do what you can do at the time. You put a burden on yourself by wanting to be somewhere other than where you are. The practice is, how much can I be where I am? How much can I allow myself to feel this pain?
Thank you, Michael.
You're welcome. It's good to see you.
See you.
Thanks so much.
I love you.
I love you too.
And talk to you soon. Mama P.
Okay. Okay. So, what time is it? Oh my goodness, we're over time. So I just want to thank you all for your presence, for your willingness to be connected with us and to listen to this. Maybe some of this is, oh, I already know all this, or maybe somebody got some good realizations. But I think, living into the question of what's essential in my life is really important, and letting that inform the choices that I make is a really important aspect of the work we're doing together. And I really invite you to join us in the next 7 week. It's kind of a mini advanced course. We're just doing 7 weeks, so you can kind of get a test or a taste of the kind of work we do. But talking about it is different than doing it. So I hope you'll think about joining us, and you can register for it at thewelloflight.com if you want to do that. If you have any questions, just write to me at support@welloflight.com. And I'm just so grateful to you. And I hope that something that I've said that you will pass on to someone else. If something moved you, I hope you will give that away to someone, because that's the gift that we are, is to pass these things on. If it sounds true and it sounds right, and it resonates with you, and you're a resonant body, you carry that, then share it with other people so you can keep the resonance alive. I hope that makes sense. And much love to you, much gratitude, and I hope to see you again on another call sometime. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Good
Bye-bye.
night.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank
Thank
you
you very much.
all. It's
Thank
great
you.
to
Good
be
night.
Thank you, Michael.
here.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.